Good afternoon. I want to talk about my experience with my community. I decided to teach my students how to self-assess themselves, and I designed some activities for them to understand what self-assessment is and the importance of it. Through the class, I guided them to create their own self-assessment in order to evaluate their learning process at the end of the class. I told them that it was very important for them to understand that they need to know how the process it's going on, how the learning process was going on, and after that, after they were able to create their own self-assessment, because that was the purpose of the class, they were able to give their opinions and their definitions about self-assessments, their own definitions, using their words, what they understood along the class, and as long with the process was going on, the process of self-assessment, I noticed that it was really important for them to know resources to practice English. Sometimes they want to practice, but they don't have enough experience, and the information on the internet is too much. And that was the reason why I designed like a platform in Padlet, and I organized it like in speaking, listening, writing, and I gave them some resources they could choose in order to practice what they are interested in, because they need to know what resources they could use. And this is what they are asking, or this is what my students are asking me all the time: teacher, how could I practice? I was really amazed, because at the end of the class, students were asking me, teacher, which one do you recommend me the most? Teacher, why can I do this? Could I do this? Teacher, is it necessary to practice 1 hour and a half? And I just gave them some pieces of advice, and they knew that they needed to practice. The most important was to make them conscious that they needed to practice at home by themselves, because the time in the class was not enough. And the importance of assessing themselves. It can be at the end of the week, it can be at the end of the class, because in that way they were able and they were aware of their learning process. And at the same time, they were able to choose the resource they could use to practice their English. I like it. It was a new challenge, because I tried to do it in English, even though they were just beginners and they are A1. So giving this kind of information to them was kind of hard in English, but I helped them to produce the answer and their understanding about the self-assessment in English, and I like it. I think that it was rewarding. I think that at least the page for the resource was really useful for them, and they are going to use it at whatever point of the learning process. They are going to use it. And some of them downloading some applications right away as soon as I gave them the web page, and they are going to have that knowledge and those resources forever. This is very useful, and they feel connected. They felt connected with me, and I really like it. I think that I should do it more frequently, maybe with my colleagues, because each colleague has his or her own knowledge and own experience and own resources to practice English. I think that sharing those resources to practice English is very useful for students, and we should do it more frequently. And that's it. I really liked. I will try to do it more frequently. I will try because I like it. I like the experience. That was the reason why I designed another class about it was pronunciation. But every single class that I'm preparing, I'm trying to manage the time and have a self-assessment at the end of the class. And at the end of the class, I try to make them to create goals for them to practice. And I always share in that web page where they can practice and they can choose whatever resource they have. And that's it. That was my experience. I really like it, and it was a reward. It had rewarding results, and it continues having rewarding results. Thank you very much. I love it.